To you right now. We've got Katrina and Jeremy Wade that has joined us in the studio this afternoon. They are part of Mission One Alliance. I think Jeremy is the executive director, and Katrina, I'm sure you're one of those people as well, right?
I support him.
You support him. I know that. I understand what that's all about. But we're going to welcome them in. They are husband and wife. Again, they're here representing Mission First Alliance. They're going to talk about a first responders breakfast event, actually two events that's coming up here in the month of October, two different locations. So we're just going to dive right in here. Jeremy, we'll start off with you. And first of all, just kind of tell us a little bit about yourself, and then we'll talk a little bit about Mission First Alliance right after that.
Yeah, thanks for having us on. This was just really born out of me being a first responder myself, serving in the Seattle Police Department for over 13 years, and just seeing and experiencing the heartbreaking reality of what it is to be a first responder. Just day in and day out, dealing with the evil, the tragedy, the heartbreak, and just the toll that these jobs take as police officers and firefighters on us day in and day out serving, doing our best. I just saw the impact it had, and just and how quick and easy it is to become isolated in these careers, to begin to lose hope, where we get into these jobs to help others, and we want to make a difference, and start to lose that feeling over time. So it was just out of doing that for a number of years that both my wife and I, the Lord just captured our heart, and we just had this burden to come alongside first responders, their families, to support them, to equip them with real hope in Christ. And that's really where Mission First Alliance was born out of.
All right, so again, we're speaking with Jeremy and Katrina Wade. Mission First Alliance is what they represent and what they founded. Katrina, so what Jeremy is telling us there, you are a spouse of a first responder,
yes,
as we probably have a lot of those people listening in this afternoon. There is a lot of times, I'm sure, that Jeremy would come home after a hard shift because they see things that a lot of us never will see, thank the Lord that we don't see, on a daily basis. It's part of their going to work, putting on that uniform. And I'm sure there's times you wish that you had the right things to say, but sometimes it's difficult, isn't it, as a spouse to a person that's in these fields?
Yeah, I loved being the spouse of a first responder. I actually grew up in a home where my father was a firefighter, so it was very natural for me, but it's not always natural for every spouse. The Mission First Alliance was a part of bringing together ministries, organizations, churches, individuals who have a heart to reach them, because we saw the destruction and the need for there to be more support, but we saw so many ministries operating independently, working alone, feeling isolated themselves, and so this ministry was birthed out of this idea of how can we bring everybody together to work collaboratively in one body of Christ to reach the first responders with the real hope.
You know, it's one of the things, too, Jeremy. I'm going to come back and just kind of ask you, you said Seattle, right? That's where you originally were a first responder. What is the track that brought you from Seattle to Cleveland, Tennessee? That's probably a story some people are probably wondering right now.
Yeah, God, only God.
Amen.
One of the ministries that we were a part of was the Fellowship of Christian Peace Officers, which is based out of Chattanooga. And we just have now seen that God had this as a design for us to be here, and this to be the perfect place for us to launch this National Alliance ministry, to where we are laying the groundwork here in Cleveland, and for stuff that is going to be duplicated all over the country and already is beginning to be.
Okay, good stuff right there. Again, we're talking with our friends from Mission First Alliance. Now, is this new to our community? I mean, is this what stage of this are we in, I guess is the best way to say it. People may be hearing this name for the first time. Is this kind of new, been around a couple years? Kind of walk me through that.
Yeah, we just started Mission First Alliance as a brand new nonprofit 501c3 ministry this February.
Okay.
And we just came back from doing our first National Leader Summit in Idaho, where we had first responder ministry leaders from all over the country coming together. And right now we are building this alliance of ministry leaders, chaplains, individuals, churches, all wanting to come together to be more effective in their support for the first responders and their families.
You know, first responders, we unfortunately, we have an organization here, Cleveland 100. I don't know if you, I'm sure you probably, with what the work you do and the work they do, have crossed paths already. And thank God for people like them during crisis, you know, when unfortunately a first responder has laid their life on the line, whether it's a firefighter or a police officer or other you know, type circumstances. But Jeremy, I'm going to ask you, being in that field, being a first responder, let's face it, most of the time when you guys are called out, it's into situations that's not normal. I mean, yes, there is house fires that happen to normal things, but also there's house fires because of meth being made in that home, or people are maybe intoxicated and something's happened in the home with fires. I mean, I'm not saying that's all of the cases by no means, but I'm sure it's a good portion. And then being a police officer, you guys are not called out to have dinner with someone. When you go somewhere, it is because there's trouble. And so when you guys get there, I would think, and you kind of related to it a few minutes ago, that over a period of time, your spiritual being sometimes gets to be in question in your mind. So you got to have this surrounding of other people that says, look, you know, God is still in control. That there's something bigger out there than what we're doing. You just got to continue to do what you're doing. Have the faith that everything is, you're doing what God has led you to do. And so, and probably you don't keep a tally board, but I'm sure there's more good things that happen than bad things that happen at the end of the day. But we, as humans, kind of keep up with the bad things more than we do the good. So that's when you got to have somebody, a group, an alliance, whatever you want to put out there, to surround these people, to always just say, look, you know, we're all here together. The Lord is going to continue to watch over us and bless us, and we're just going to continue to do what we do. So am I kind of on track there? Kind of.
Yes, absolutely. I think that police officers, firefighters are trained very well and well equipped today to handle the job. But there is an emotional toll that takes, which is one of the things that is being recognized now with the high suicide rates and the high divorce rates and the high PTSD and mental health rates from first responders all the way across the country. And one of the things that we're starting to see is that those numbers are not coming down, even with more training and more awareness. I had a friend that was just bringing attention to this the other day, and he said, what if we're missing the mark? What if it's not more physical training that's needed? What if it's not more equipment that's needed? What if it's not more awareness for those issues that are needed? But maybe what if that spiritual element we're not supporting them in? There is a thing called moral injury, just that kind of spiritual just shock to the conscience of things that we see and deal with on a daily basis, that we can just begin to lose hope over time.
Sure.
And we just can kind of become jaded and have a jaded worldview from who we're dealing with day in and day out, and not recognize the impact it's really having on us. But first responders look like they've got it all together on the outside,
right?
Because that's how we're trained to be, and we are the helpers. We go in and we help everyone else. We don't typically ask for help. Sure. That's just not who we are.
Yeah, you're the giver, not the taker, not 99.9% of the time. You know, and I'm not saying this because you two are sitting here, but, you know, a lot of times when I'm saying my prayers, I pray for first responders. I pray for our military, and I pray for our first responders. Being in the industry that I'm a part of, you see you guys in action, and you see what you have to emotionally go through day in and day out. And sometimes it's just taken for granted that you guys can just go home and compartmentalize those things. Just because you take off the fire jacket or take off the badge or the holster or the gun was in and put it down doesn't mean that the mental side got checked out with it as well. I'm sure there's times that any of your first responders go home and that last call probably still sticks with you even through the night. And so you got to have an outlet. You got to have a people that you can spiritually, because I think that's really the only way you're going to get through it, because the other avenues has proven not to be the way you need to go. You know, I'm talking about alcohol and other things like that. But spiritually have people surround you and lift you up and give you that when you need it, to me would be the best thing in the world. That would be during that time. So I say all this to say this: what the Mission One Alliance, First Alliance, is doing. They've got some first responders breakfast events coming up. So I'm going to let whichever one wants to start off with that go ahead and talk us through those things.
Yeah, the breakfast that we have coming up on October 19th at the Oaks in Chattanooga, and then October 25th at the Cleveland Country Club up here in Cleveland.
Okay.
Those events are more designed for business leaders, church leaders to come hear about our vision, hear about our mission. We will have other events for first responders, but right now we want the community to get behind this movement that we are trying to put forward to reach the first responders in not just our community but all over the country. There are 4.6 million first responders that serve us every single day.
Wow.
And our desire, our hope is that if all 4.6 million of them had the hope in Christ and the peace and the joy that comes with that, can you imagine the impact that that would have on our country today? I mean,
Sure.
it's just astronomical. But that's a huge undertaking. And there are ministries all over the country that have a heart to reach them. And there are churches that have a heart to reach them. But we want to bring them all together. And we want to provide this network to the first responders that all these ministries exist. There are hundreds of ministries that have a heart to reach them, but most first responders don't even know that they exist. So we want to bring together this collaboration, this alliance, and then share that with the first responders so that they know there are people out there that have a heart to reach them and support them, not just after the critical incident, but before, and support their families and support their communities.
Yeah, so this event that we're talking, the two events we're talking about on October the 19th and October the 25th, is really going to be for the church leaders and those people to start the networking process.
Yes.
To where we can get in these neighborhoods, start
Yes.
working the networking together. And so we just need these people that's either a church member or maybe a decision maker or maybe just someone that serves on the board with their church or whatever, be a part of this.
Yes.
Okay.
It's really going to take all of us working together to reach them.
All right. So from this point, we've got the date in Chattanooga, the Oaks Coffee House there in Chattanooga, and then we've got the Cleveland Country Club. We need to get people signed up. And so what do we need to do? What do we need to start with?
At our website, missionfirstalliance.com, people can learn more about what we're doing, can sign up and register for those breakfast events. Our heart really is to unite and equip all who have a heart to reach first responders for Christ. So while these breakfast events, we'd love for business leaders and church leaders to hear that vision and how we can all come together, anyone who is not a business leader, church leader, can sign up for our newsletter, can find ways to get involved. We really want to bridge that gap and unite and equip everyone who has that desire to support them, not just appreciate them, but support them
Right.
in a meaningful way.
All right, so yeah, this is very powerful. I think it's a great idea. I think it's something that I feel a lot of our churches and stuff should and will get behind. Because I think we don't need to wait till tragedy strikes before we start the rally. A lot of times that's what we do. Like, well, this happened. Now we all come together. Why not do some not preventive maintenance, but some preventive ideas collaboratively, like you said, to be able to have this support continuously and not just during a time of crisis. So we hope people will sign up for one of these two events. Business and church leaders come enjoy breakfast and learn how you can bring real hope to our first responders at these two different functions. October the 19th for the Chattanooga area, then October the 25th at the Cleveland Country Club for our people here in Cleveland and McMinn and Bradley and all around our surrounding areas. We'd like for you to be a part of it. As we close out, I'm going to start with Katrina one more time. Just anything that I haven't brought out or you would want to make sure we get out during this interview, and then we'll close with that. So.
Yeah, please go to our website. We've had some really exciting things happen, and we are going to be sharing updates through our newsletter, our email list. So please go in, become a part of this effort. Sign up to get updates from us. We're going to be sharing some really exciting stuff here in the next couple months, and we would love for everybody to be a part of what we're doing.
All right, Jeremy?
Yeah, just thank you for this opportunity. We've just seen firsthand in our own lives the negative impact that these jobs can have, where those that have a heart to serve, to protect, to just serve their communities, just the impact it can have. And we know through our own lives the impact of what Real Hope can have and how then we can share that real hope with the communities, which is just so exciting.
Excellent. Give me the website one more time, please.
MissionFirstAlliance.com, just all spelled out.
Okay, missionfirstalliance.com to be a part of this wonderful, wonderful thing that is going on. Again, don't forget about that October the 19th date. For the Chattanooga listening audience, and then for the Cleveland area, October the 25th at the Cleveland Country Club. Guys, thanks so much for coming in and introducing us to a lot of the people here on Mix TV and the radio, so we appreciate it. And if you're someone that knows first responders, or you feel your church, your organization, or your business would like to be a part of this, make sure you share this video with them from either our website or mixtv.tv, and let's get other people involved. Thanks so much again, guys. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
We'll take a quick break. We'll be back with more in just a moment. Stay here with us. We are Mix 104.1 WCLE.
In life, there are defining moments.
You may kiss the bride.